I did it last, just.
This meeting is now in order. Wait for a minute to get there. Apologies. Wait for your
I'm gonna say
report.
something super specific.
Whatever kills it.
Yeah.
Ready?
Are we back on?
Oh,
We're back on. Everything. We're back in order.
Oh, wow.
It's on.
So, yeah.
I got it.
But you're gonna do
so
it?
per Mr. Sittler's recommendation, I'm going to pull item A off of the agenda.
I would like to make a motion, just on the advice of council, to defer item 8A indefinitely, and strike it from here moving forward.
That's kind of what I just did, but that's
Okay, do we need a motion?
No,
What's the best way to do it?
defer doesn't mean striking, so I
I'm
want to
just
be very
removing
clear.
it from the
That's
agenda.
fine.
Okay.
So that is it. Definitely. All right.
All right.
Old business item B, a discussion for ECC interlocal agreement funding compliance. Again, this came up during budget hearing session. I don't think this is something we've really taken a deep dive into yet. And without any objection, I'd like to just keep this on the old business. And so, but I would like to eventually kind of start diving into this. I know we've had some unexpected things thrown at us. So,
Second that.
all right. Well, there's no motion needed. I'm going to keep it under old business. Discussion for Resource Authority Agreement. Commissioner Brown, you'd asked us to be put on this. Is there something you want to discuss or keep on the old
No,
business?
just like I say, there's things that are developing right now, and we just need to wait and see
All
what
right.
happens.
Without any objection, we're going to keep that under old business as well. An old item of old business was the EMS lawn maintenance contract and a list of county properties from the mayor. County mayor last Wednesday sent out a list to the commission with county properties. Was that a comprehensive list of all like properties that we have? Can you explain that list?
Yeah, that was the list of everything that we have, and you'll see that it may be numbered 1, and then there's like 5 ones. That's all the properties at that location. Like Highway may have several buildings at one
Like
location.
outbuildings or?
Yeah, and so that's the list that we have. It's the most comprehensive list right now with finance and risk management.
So this list includes anything that we have insured or anything like that? So anything on with the property assessor's office, all the county property?
Everything that I'm aware of.
Okay, and this is just county owned or just county associated with?
County owned, and there may be a couple on there that are county associated, like the Portland Fire Department. I can't remember if that's on there or not.
So that would be something that we're kind of contributing money to or insuring, or do you know?
We may have assets there.
Okay. All right, is there any?
Well, but it doesn't.
I'll make a motion for discussion, so.
Second.
All right, second by Commissioner Teacher, and the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, sorry.
Or was I? So, but it doesn't include any school properties?
No.
Okay.
No
and then-
school property.
Can I ask the mayor a question?
Sure.
How'd you get this list?
This
Just
was a
curious.
compilation from the finance department and risk management.
Because I looked through the list, and I was just interested to see if there would be something that shows up that's just not listed, on here. Not questioning you, but just question the whole process, because it feels like that this should be a little more generalized to the public, being able to just like see a list of county properties, as opposed to just being like under lock and key. So I don't know.
I'll be happy to put this on the website.
Yeah,
It's not a secret document. It's just one that we finally put together, and I'm kind of surprised that it was never put together before. But I have no problem putting it on the website.
It seems odd too, it's exactly 50 properties, exactly. I don't know, it just seems odd. Just something, I just asking questions, it's my job.
Well, it's actually 87 properties, but 50 different areas.
50 locations.
Yeah. And that, I can't explain that 50 number to you, I apologize.
So when you say, you said 80 properties, are you talking about like structures? Total
Yeah.
80, you talking like buildings, is that what you meant in that column?
Right, well, about 85.
Built in, on those 50 parcels, I guess. Correct. Okay, just to clarify on that.
Yes.
I don't think you meant to say any properties, so just to clarify buildings.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions for the county mayor or about this property list at this time? All right, again, this is under old business, so, without any objection, we will.
Could this be put up? I would like to have this put up just because it'd be nice that way if there's something that maybe would be missing, that the public would have access to this, not just buried in some minutes, like, but actually where the.
I can put it on the
they
front
go.
page.
Yeah, okay. Front page is fine.
Put it anywhere you want
Would
it.
you like to make a motion?
I'll make a
Someone
motion.
request that?
Yeah, I make a motion that we do have this listed in a very available spot on the county website where the people can just see, when things are sold, when things are not, that they can just see what is county property.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Teachner, second by Commissioner Klein, to put county building list on county property on the website. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Commissioner, no. Mr. Sittler.
I do have one question. Some of this, and this is just me being overkilling in nature, but the occupancy column, are any of those at issue, like jail storage? There was something in here about POL stuff. Is there anything in that column that could possibly not want to be distributed in such a manner?
I've noticed that there's one in here, I think, called a female house. Is that something we need to have public knowledge, common knowledge?
A woman's house?
Woman's house, yeah, is that,
I don't think,
I mean, is that part of?
criminals would certainly want to know where it is.
Right, is that part of
But,
home safe that
But
we
this,
don't need
the
to
will of this
disclose?
body to put it on the front page of the website, I'll do it.
Well, I think we need to do it within reason of redaction, not to put I mean, first and foremost, Mr. Chairman, we're supposed to protect the public. I don't think that's putting a home safe addresses out there is really the best interest in protecting the public, and it's sure not the intent.
The salt
of
shed is
this when
probably
I
fine
asked.
in there.
Would you like to reconsider the,
Okay,
the vote? Move to
I'd
reconsider?
like to move to reconsider.
Why should we have to reconsider? I'm sorry, that just got under my skin. This is a legal matter, but why would that even be an issue that, yeah, we'll put it out there if that's what we want? That's just wrong. It's a home safe. If this is home safe and protecting victims, why would we even want it out there?
So, hold on a second, let's get the one back, Mr. Rogers, so, gain the floor, but I was giving him opportunity to reconsider to undo what we just did to address your concern.
I understand, but it's just a matter of which it was presented, that if that's what the commission wants to do, that's what we'll do. That's not the intent at all, is to put somebody's life in jeopardy.
Correct.
I just want to make sure we're clear for
The
that.
spirit of what Commissioner Teacher was doing is just trying to be transparent with taxpayers
Absolutely.
on properties we own, correct?
But not put women in jeopardy.
So, here's my recommendation, is if you want to have a motion to reconsider, and then let's keep that under old business, and then if there needs to be a plan for how to work with the law department on how to properly list properties if there's something of sensitive nature.
Yes, but can I go further on that, because that brings to mind something. So, I do feel like that the people need to know where everything is, but they don't need to know, I mean, that's a very good point. But the problem is, this is already gonna be listed, it's already listed out on the website right now. So it's like, when we're redacting, or if we redact things, we need to remember that it's already, because county mayor provided it, so it's already, I'm thankful you did.
It's a matter, it's an
It's a
email.
matter
It's a
of-
matter of public record. It's true, the
Public
county mayor
record.
emailed into our county last week.
Yeah.
It was put on the legislative agenda, so it's on the county website right now.
Yeah, so-
And it's gonna be in the minutes.
So it's many places already, so we need to figure out how to move forward if we're gonna do that, as opposed to just getting worried about it being, okay, well, if we put it one more of the 4 places that it already is. You know what I
I'll
mean?
ask
So
the
I just
law,
wanna-
since the law director brought this up, and I'm gonna have to revert back to you on this can of worms.
Yeah.
Since this is, again, the county
Yeah.
mayor emailed this list out to the county, if these are sensitive issues and it's already in a public email.
That's fine. I don't know what's sensitive or not sensitive, because I just took a cursory glance at this section. I was merely posing that as a question, but just because it's public record and it can be obtained by the public, doesn't mean we need to be just willy-nilly posting everything because we know they can get it through the public. If they want to make a records request, by all means, I'll submit information with whatever they request. It was just a matter of all of a sudden it's hitting the public domain purview, and I just saw stuff like POL and the stuff about the jail, and it just caused me to wonder if there's anything here that you ought to be concerned about. And I'm thinking worst case scenario, somebody knows where your POL's at, they know where to go if they want to steal fuel and things of that nature. Or if they're planning the big breakout from the jail, they know the location of all the services that are rendered within that. So it's worst case scenario at that. But it's up to you all. It is obtainable through an FOI, but how much do you want to just voluntarily be putting up?
But what do we do at this point? I mean, because right now we're discussing it. It's in the minutes for this meeting. It's public record. It's on the agenda, and it's been sent to all the county emails. So I mean, I don't want to go any further than that, but what do we do to protect the people if we're really worried about it? I mean,
That'd be a question for the law director, I'm not sure.
what do we do in that situation? Is there a way to redact it from public record that's already in the minutes and the agenda and the?
This information here is obtainable. I'm not disputing that fact. And maybe this is me using this as a cautionary tale for future stuff that happens to hit agenda packets and things of that nature. It doesn't happen very often, but just how do you want to proceed from this point forward if everybody's okay with the way this one's laying?
Commissioner Rogers?
I think what we're trying to get to is let's not just flash it out there, hey, we've got it. I mean, at least with this way, the way it sits now, is there has to be an effort made to obtain it.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think we just need to go out there and put it on the front page, saying that that's what was gonna do. I was under the assumption, and again, we know what happens when you do that, but I was under the assumption that the redaction would take place. But if that's not the case, then I would make the motion to reconsider, to bring this back and roll it a month or something to make sure that we've got the redactions in there like it
Got a
should.
motion to reconsider on the floor, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Brown.
Before we vote,
Commissioner Klein's in the queue before we vote.
thank you.
We could simply remove the occupancy column.
That's all I was saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Then everybody knows there are properties, but they don't know what happens at those properties, whether they're a salt shack or a.
Sounds great.
Would you like to keep that motion or withdraw?
Can
Or
we,
you think-
what do we keep it there? Just
Let's go withdraw it, because we need to properly dispose of the motion. So you've already reconsidered, we got a motion, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I'll entertain a new motion. Commissioner Rogers.
I move to approve this with removal of the occupancy column.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Klein.
I make a motion, I make an amendment, I want to make an amendment to that motion.
Okay, well,
That we go back and redact the occupancy column from the minutes for this meeting and from the agenda for this meeting. Can we go back and do that?
Agenda's already published.
It's already published, yeah. Okay. But never mind. I
Motion
withdraw my
died.
amendment. I amend my
we got a
amendment.
motion on the floor, we got a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Now, on to new business. Veteran Service Report, I don't know, our Veteran Service Director is here, he's not, so your report is in your packet. Item B is a resolution that is a records inspection appointment. This was by the law director's office, so I don't know if you guys have any comments on that. But the law director or our staff attorney on this, if you guys have any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Schoaf,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rogers. Is there any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Item C is a resolution for judicial magistrates appointments.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schoaf to approve, second by Commissioner Rogers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Uh,
That's all right, it's not really, well, I was gonna ask a question, but it's not really related to this, so.
All right, well, if not related, we'll go on. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, new business, discussion for roofing for the Sumner County Jail and also a solar panel letter of intent. This came to us from General Operations, and I've asked Commissioner Klein to address this. First, a question, I guess, is the presenters from last week, General Ops, are they here in this meeting at all to
No.
answer any questions?
No, there's nobody here.
So nobody here from last week that came and spoke to General Ops?
Right, right.
Well, I guess the floor is yours, Commissioner Klein, if you
Okay.
don't mind. I'll make a motion for discussion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schoaf. I'll make a motion for discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This, floor is yours, Commissioner Klein.
Okay, well, what we were trying to do in general ops is there's an opportunity to get a new roof with a solar system on the jail for no money. And I think it's caused a lot of consternation within the commission, because if it feels like it's too good to be true, it probably is. But what I take that back to is when COVID hit and the president brought out the PPP program, where corporations received hundreds of millions of dollars of money that they didn't have to pay back. That seemed too good to be true as well. So we ripped it up pretty good last week in discussing this letter of intent, and our legal counsel has come up with something that is a non-binding letter of intent. And the way I would describe this is if one of us was going out to lease a car, the leasing company would ask for certain information regarding our rating, our bank accounts, all the things that a leasing agency would be looking for to justify the lease of a car. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about signing a letter of intent to go the next step for the investors to do their due diligence, see if it makes sense for them. Come up with an organized, professional contract that we would review, see if all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted. And if the commission, the entire commission, thought it was a good idea to move forward, then we could. And if the commission decided against it, then we walk away, no harm done. No money out of pocket for the county. But there's the potential of saving at a bare minimum $750,000 and at a maximum $4 million for the county taxpayers. And it could, if it happened and worked, it could mean tens of millions of dollars or more, because as we know, we've got 80-some buildings that at some point will need to be re-roofed. Plus there's the ecological aspect of having solar panels that would be warranted, no questions asked, for the next 25 years. And we know what's happening with electricity in this country. There are no coal firing facilities, or there are no atomic plants anymore, or they're all going away. So what are we going to do about electricity? Well, one way to do it is to have government buildings that are generating their own through solar panels. And you can argue the pros and cons of solar panels, but at this point, we don't have a lot of options as far as the country goes. But if we can get these installed on that jail roof, which is about 88,000 square feet, and take care of any of the demand on the grid, and not pay a dime for the roof, it just seems to me, I'll sign the document. Because I'm so certain that after Mr. Sittler got done with it, it's a non-binding document. We should go forward. If we don't do the jail with this, there are other buildings that we possibly could. I know the jail's been a pain for years, should have been re-roofed several years ago, and I know that we're all feeling a sense of urgency, especially in general ops, to get that done. But there is the opportunity that even if we get that roof done and we continue to work on this program, that they would reimburse us the monies we spent on the roof, and we would get that roof for free, and the solar panels, and all of the benefits, what the investment company, and there are several of them out there, would get is they would get the 30% rebate from the federal government that is part of the Inflation Reduction Act. That came into place only in January. They will receive the benefits of the 25%, roughly 25% of the total usage of the police building. And then they would never charge us more than we would have paid Gallatin Electric. And in the final documents that would be sussed out in this process, they would tell us what we would be paying, which would be either on par or less money. So I don't see that we in any way, shape, or form, by signing this letter of intent, that we can lose. I see that we could have a big gain. So that's the way I see it. I'll answer any questions you want.
I've got one.
Commissioner Schoaf?
I don't have a problem with the letter of intent as long as it's non-binding, but I've got a,
Can you speak up a little bit?
yeah, I said I don't have a problem with the letter of intent as long as it's non-binding, but I do have a question about, just because I'm kind of diving in on this on a totally separate thing. Who is responsible for disposal? Disposal of 20 years down the pipe, or whenever they break?
25?
Yeah, who's on the hook for that?
Don't know, that would be in the document, that the letter of intent. will
So, yeah, because
determine.
I didn't see anything in anything that was there. Because my understanding on that is that disposal of that equipment can be, because some of it can be considered toxic, is non-trivial. And now look, 25 years down the pipe, like maybe it's worth it. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
We would need that. We don't have an answer for it right now.
No, and part of the deal, as I understand it, is 2 5-year extensions, so that it could be a 35-year system.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. That's a perfect question for after the due diligence period, and they present a proposal to us.
Okay.
And you know what? If that's the only issue, and we say, nah, it's not worth it, then we walk.
Okay.
I did have a question. You mentioned that, I guess it was part of an Inflationary Reduction Act from the federal government, correct? I guess these credits. I've asked this on other federal things, like what are the devils in the details of the federal government? If they're going to try to put some kind of program in place that you have to adhere to. I mean, I'm not seeing anything as far as is there any strings attached to the federal government in this money, as far as like,
Mrs. Lenahan said that because our lease deal is with the investor, their deal is with the federal government. They're on the hook for any of the details. We are not.
but the details, I guess, ultimately would fall on the county, at least in my opinion, of the fact that, if we're signing it, ended up, I understand this is kind of a two-phase approach. One's just a letter of intent, just to explore, correct? I mean, there's no commitment, just a letter to explore.
Exactly.
To come back with information, to then look at all the details, it doesn't
Right.
matter for the public.
Right.
Okay, so, since I'm just getting beyond the letter of intent, I guess that would be a question is to make sure, just because another entity, if the federal government's gonna hold them to something, I mean, ultimately, I believe that we would be held to it by default. I mean, I'd have a hard time believing that wouldn't be the case, but that's just me. But, Mr. Stiller, you did send out an email on the 10th that had feedback from Mr. Lawing, the finance director, on this letter of intent.
I have a copy as well. if
Okay, would you
y'all
mind
like to
passing that
pass that
out?
around.
You did send that to the entire commission.
Yes.
But there, you did send a Word document, it was a statement of intent, and it was pretty limited, but I think two things that the finance director called out was, one, that their letter of intent was like, hey, we're not gonna talk to anybody else, but state law allows, or I don't know if it allows or requires that even if it's a lease situation, that we would be able to still bid that out. So we wouldn't be beholden to what's written there, is my understanding.
You're referring to their statement of intent?
Correct, which is,
That has been removed.
oh, that was his, what Mr. Long?
Yeah, I've sat down at length with Mr. Long on this because there's a bunch of other issues, but they really aren't worth delving into until we get something properly put in front of us.
Was what you sent in this email, was that their original letter of intent?
I do not recall.
Okay. So that has been removed as far as what Mr. Long's concern was on that. Like, we're not going to just be beholden to you for one letter of intent, because the leases are biddable according to.
Correct, and I actually went in and made them understand that any provision or any outlying lease or further contracts that were executed, all state statutes would have to be complied with, anticipated or unanticipated, because this isn't as simple as us signing off. There are some serious state hoops to jump through that we don't know what category this falls under. So if this statement of intent, I only did this so that it could move to a process where we could finally start dissecting something.
Sure,
Because
so-
it's all been a bunch of back and forth.
This letter of intent, phase one, should exploratory happen, should you get to phase two, which is another resolution to actually approve any kind of lease agreement, that would be still subject to state approval.
Yes.
All the process. This initial request that came from General Ops, just to make sure we're understanding, this is simply to enter into a intent to move forward as an exploratory, but with no commitment, nothing. It's just phase one. It's a checks and balance. It'd have to basically come back to the commission for lack of better words, a second reading on the details of everything to be fully debated and discussed.
The intent of this is, through our conversation at that meeting, it was at Gen Ops, I believe, that during that whole debate, everything kept coming back to, we've got to see your utility bills before she could really firm up and give us a solid response on anything. This is basically saying, okay, we're giving you permission to go research those utility bills and then give us a real proposal.
Okay, so this is just.
That we can entertain and either say yes, no, and this went even further to say, if for some reason we went on, you're bound to the statutes of the state, and at the end of the day, let's see, where did I put it? Yeah, at the very end of the first paragraph, everything in this is at customer's discretion, us being the customer. Anything we do is at our discretion from.
So the options, if I'm understanding, just to explain it to the public, and I see Commissioner Jones, I'll get back to you, is one, the first thing that came to General Ops was basically a $1.9 million bid or estimate for the roof, correct? That was kind of where
That's what I believe the consultant that has looked at the road
recommended at $1.9 million.
was thinking it would be in that arena.
And then the second thing that was in this packet that I read through was, looks like, if I'm comparing apples to apples, correct me if I'm wrong, from the presenters last week, the other roofing company, it's close to a little less than $800,000. So you got one bid for 1.9 on estimate, and you got one for 800,000. That's a $1.1 million swing. Are we talking about? Is this a true apple for that conventional quote? Well, the solar, is that an apples to apples comparison?
I understand that the 1.9 is an architectural estimate. The 800,000 or slightly less than that is an actual proposal.
Okay, so the architectural estimate, I mean, what is the fee the architect gets, how much money they make on the project?
I think it's 6%, isn't that by Tennessee statute?
I'd have to check and see, I think
I
so.
think it's 6% of the total cost of the job. I believe that's what the state.
Part of that fee structure, that's part of the 1.9 million.
No, it's not part of it, it's on top of the 1.9.
Oh, so it'd be even, it'd be two something.
Yeah.
Okay, is where we're getting, so, but as far as, so we don't know what's being proposed for the 1.9, but this roof we have is basically, can you explain the conventional, outside of the solar panel, which we know is free?
Basically, the architect came up with a set of specifications that I don't believe are locked in yet, but they're very close. And we have on that roof what's called an EPDM, which is a sheet rubber roof. And what the architect and the roofer who was here in the audience last week were proposing was the same thing, which is called, it's called a wetsuit system. It's the same material. It's a two-part that's sprayed out of the same nozzle, and it's done in a 0.45 mil thickness, and that'll give you the 25-year life expectancy that they're talking about in the solar panel roofing costs the county no money.
Well, set aside the solar panel discussion.
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah.
only talking about.
Just the roof.
Roof,
Yeah.
the conventional roof that we have for the 1.9 million plus.
Yeah.
Which is, architects said would be, versus, then you had another roofer, I think, did he say he was an engineer as well?
Yeah, he went to school as a structural engineer. I know that personally because he did a roof for me a few years back.
Okay, so this roofer, he has given an actual proposal for the actual materials and cost and labor,
Yes.
and it comes, a little less than $800,000.
Yeah, including
I'm gonna say-
cranes and everything.
Was it $800,000 roughly?
Yeah.
For
Yeah, that's
discussion.
fair.
So again, that's what I'm trying to figure out, just taking the solar panel away, just conventional apples to apples. I mean, that's still like a $1.1+ million swing.
Yeah,
on estimates without just, that's a pretty
In building,
egregious.
in development, you see that though. Depending on the time of the world, you can see prices that are 3 times more than another one, just because it's basically, this is, I don't want to do the job, but if you give me this money, I'll take it.
Commissioner Shepard.
Like I said, I'm fine with this. I just, forgive me if I missed any language, but I would, and maybe I think I'm gonna make an amendment, suggest an amendment here. I'd just like it to be really called out that this is non-binding, so for consideration, I'd like to consider the following. Investor understands that this LOI is non-binding and that customer is under no obligation to make any purchase, transfer, or enter into any further agreement to utilize the equipment and/or services as outlined by investor's proposal or proposals pursuant to this agreement.
Did you write that agreement?
I just wrote it.
Okay, I was just figuring, I was trying to find it on.
No, I just wrote it, because I mean, does that hurt anything? I mean, it just makes, I want it super clear.
The way I understood the discussion was if we do agree with it, we've got to give in to whoever they decide to use as far as fulfilling the project.
Yeah, but this is just an agreement.
To do get a proposal.
To
This
get a
is an
proposal.
agreement to get an agreement.
It's an agreement, and that's what I'm saying there, is that just because they give us an agreement, we are under no obligation to accept it.
Well, not
I don't
only-
see it, I don't
not
see that
only-
called out.
Well, it just says at customer's discretion, and legally discretion means it's at that person's sole, it's that sole decision at that person. And another thing to keep in mind here is even if we reach a happy medium with them, we still think, as far as me and Mr. Lawing, that this is gonna end up being a biddable thing anyway.
No, I mean, I see that part unless required to do so person to, I mean, I see that part. But I just don't see a definitive statement. And where you missed, maybe I missed it on the,
End of the first paragraph.
at customer's discretion. Okay, I see. Yeah, I mean, look, I would, if this was, I mean, I do some contracting, I'd want that phrase in there, just because it makes it like super clear. We're under no obligation. I would like to make that amendment.
Table, we got a second? I'll second it. I know Commissioner Jones had a question.
I didn't have a question, I was trying to answer a question about, Commissioner Stowe asked about
Commissioner-
disposal.
Yeah,
They
Commissioner
did
Jones is
address-
on general arms, so you were there last week.
Yeah, they did address that, because of the amount of precious material in there, the superconductor, I mean, the semiconductors that's in there and everything, getting rid of them would not be a problem. People probably would really want the scrap material, but if this project works like they think it will, they'll probably want to keep going on with the program and replace them as needed. They're making money off of us because of the sheer amount of energy that jail draws. We're paying our bill to them for 25% of the power usage. They normally don't do this buying the roof project to add solar panels to. They usually just do the solar panels. but it's worth it because the sheer volume of energy that jail uses, that they're jumping at the chance for us to pay a quarter of our bill to them. That's why they want to see if it's profitable and look at our utilities to see if it's worth it for them to do this. I just want to clear that up because I understood it pretty well from Melanie last week.
Commissioner John?
I have a question about the energy for the solar panel. Years ago, I know that people sell the energy back to the utility company, or do they not do that anymore?
It's not, they're not doing it.
Hold on, Tim.
Commissioner, the answer to that, Mary, is that the jails suck up so much juice. That's why they're only able to do 25% of the total. We would never have enough excess electricity to sell back to the utility company. Was the answer to that
So,
question.
no. Go ahead, Commissioner.
So, just for clarification on this, if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth paragraph down, it's just really just really one long sentence. Unless required to disclose pursuant to the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, or federal or state law, customer agrees to keep and treat the specific terms and conditions contained in this proposal on a confidential basis. How do we do that when we're working for the public, with the public? Like, we're gonna discuss the.
Good question. I'm glad you brought that up. I read that.
That's the reason for the first part of that sentence.
So, okay, so, but it's,
So basically, the county law director is saying at the customer's discretion, which means we're gonna do what we want to past that period.
Because we're required to.
and you're saying federal and state law, I get it.
So that Commissioner Show just
Thank you.
wants to see that in there as far as an amendment, just to spell it out, which I like that as well. I want to see that in writing or anything else that we can improve that on if we do want to move forward with this. So Commissioner Brown.
This is a lease. This is a lease. Now, is there an option to buy, or do we always just really want to keep this kind of thing to them where they will do the maintenance, that kind of thing?
At the end of-
I mean, that's the way I would look at this,
At
because this is.
at
a
the end of
product that's
25
right
years,
now.
we get the car, free and clear.
Yeah.
So it's ours at the end of 25 years. And like I said, there are 2 5-year options to keep them on, to take it to 35 years. So, and as Tim just said, the equipment, even after 25 years, will be probably that much more valuable. If we wanted to scrap it, they're saying that we would have no problem getting some scrappers.
No,
That would probably give us money for it.
I don't see how any of that, I mean, just anything's valuable after 25 years, especially as being used on.
I don't know.
So I
Well,
got
the
semiconductors.
silver, the silicone in it, and that kind of thing.
Okay, you're
But-
about the precious.
Yeah, the precious metals.
Metals, okay, yeah.
But
That
the
makes-
thing
yeah, the
is,
cost to
technology
extract.
is really still not there yet to do the
Right.
recycling. That's the biggest problem.
Sure.
It's like lithium batteries right now.
Mr. Chairman, this is one committee I do get to vote on, and this may be more innocent. And first of all, I'd like to say I commend the chairman of general operations, because he's been a true servant of this county. He's climbed around on more roofs and saved us money, unbelievable amount of money. But I'm very conflicted about this entire thing. Even if I were to vote for this, I'm not sure I could vote for this other agreement. I'd feel better if it didn't originate with Joe Biden, but the fact that the origin of it, I don't know. I didn't like what I heard. I didn't like the fact that the corporation, was situated in Brazil. There are Chinese connections with Brazil. I don't know. I'm just very conflicted about it, and my vote is going to be no. So,
If for this letter of intent.
yes.
Okay.
So,
Commissioner Teacher.
I'm glad you said that, but my one question that I've been worried about is, so you know how property tax is like the way that duped the American people into the government practically owning everybody's property in some form or fashion. We can go down that whole rabbit hole. what I worry about is if we're leasing this roof to a county building, where do we go with that? Like how, that's what my concern is about the federal government. Like what do they get to install on there? What do they get to own on there? Because if we're leasing it, they own part of that. So how does that look?
Commissioner Klein?
Well, that'll all be determined in the due diligence, and with respect to Chairman Hyde, as I understand it, when they deliver a proposal, we can say, we don't want anything that comes from China or anything else, and if we don't like the deal, we won't. I don't, here again, I don't see how we can get hurt.
Commissioner Rogers?
So, the leaks, I guess, that are happening at the jail, are they going into inmate living quarters? Are they running down towers and everything else at the jail?
Mr. Mayor?
I will tell you that we just had a report leak, a leak of report today that's gone through the ductwork. So I have Comfort Air, gonna have to go out tomorrow, replace ductwork, and then fix that leak.
Commissioner Rogers?
Just so I can get in the logistics time frame, if we go through this, we do the letter intent, we're 3 and 4 or 5 months down the road, we still don't have any ductwork fixed, and we're still going on another year. I think we're just really, with all due respect, I think we're spinning our wheels. We just need to get the roof fixed. And my question still remains is, does the roof at the jail, can it hold the solar panels? Does it have the engineering to hold them?
The leasing company, the investor, part of their deal is they do whatever they need to get the structural engineering looked at. Now,
Sweetheart deal, sounds like.
well, it does. And the thing is, and I said this at the very beginning, is it is possible that we can go ahead and get the roof done. And if we still sign the letter of intent, do our due diligence, said, you know, we should take this deal, there is a good chance that they will reimburse us for the roofing money that we spent on the roof. So we don't, I guess what I'm saying is we can get our cake and eat it too here. We can get the roof done, satisfy all the concerns with the sheriff's department and the mayor. And then if we like what we saw in the proposal that they handed us, then they reimburse us for the roof. I mean, they would pay for the roof. You're shaking your head and I don't understand why.
Oh, it's just thought process.
Oh,
That's
okay, I'm sorry. You were shaking no. So here again, we can do the roof now. And I'm not absolutely certain about this because I don't know that much about it. I know the letter of intent is doing the due diligence. And as a former builder, we did this kind of stuff all the time. And then, you know, if we do the roof right now, which we can do right now, and they come back and they say, we'll reimburse you for the roof, we'll put up the solar panels, we'll take care of all the structural needs from the underside, or it doesn't need any, whatever the answer is. And then we either say yes or we say no. It's, you know, it's that simple. It's just a letter of intent that holds us to nothing.
I just want to be super clear, so we can pursue fixing, because that was, my question was on these lines, like how long are we gonna go here, like, so we can pursue, this is a parallel path, we can pursue fixing the roof totally decoupled from this.
That's what Melanie Lenahan has explained to me.
Okay.
And they call, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll just get back in line. It seems like so if we fix the roof, then again, are we going back towards a bid issue, a bid process, so we're still waiting for the bid process to go through? I mean, again, I'll just have to side with Chairman Hyde. I'll just have to vote no, because it seems like we're just running in circles.
Commissioner Jones?
They're also ready to fix the roof as soon as we say go. So that would be the fastest route. If we got through the letter of intent portion of it, they are ready to fix the roof for free. And all the concerns about where it's made or where the company is, this is a multinational conglomerate investment firm that is gonna buy the best equipment they can for profiting off of this investment. They don't care where it's from. We're not buying it. We shouldn't care where it's from. If it breaks down, it's cheap junk, they're gonna lose money. They're not gonna buy cheap junk. They're gonna buy the best solar panels they can have to make the most money that they can. And most of solar panel material comes from China. We're not gonna get around that, folks. These are things that you're not going to Walmart looking for something made in the USA. This is an investment firm that knows what they're doing, and they're buying the best equipment to profit. We can't get hung up over that.
And they're on the hook for 25 years.
This is their stuff on our roof.
So, we got a motion on the floor amendment, so, is there any more discussion on the amendment of Commissioner Shoaf's language before we move on?
I have one question.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Sittler, is that redundant? What Commissioner Shoaf is suggesting, is that redundant to your document?
I can overkill it. I think mine satisfies everyone's intent, but I'll put that in there.
won't
It
hurt my
doesn't hurt
feelings.
anything.
Okay.
It won't hurt my feelings if you say yes. It's okay.
I thought it was polite to do that.
Would you like him to?
That's why I
Commissioner
Can I
Commissioner
hear-
Shoaf, can you please read the amendment?
Yeah, investor understands that this LOI is non-binding and that customer is under no obligation to make any purchase, transfer, or other agreement to utilize the equipment and/or services as outlined by investor's proposal or proposals pursuant to this agreement.
Could you get a second on
I was the second, and would you recommend we put that at the end of the first paragraph?
I was gonna put it at the, well, that's a good question, so,
My suggestion is the very last
very
statement.
last.
Last statement, okay.
that's,
Yeah, that's what I think so too.
All right, so that was the intent, that's the motion on the floor, then probably second. Any other further discussion on the amendment?
okay, so I'll change my, okay, that is a good point. I'm gonna call it SOI, Statement of Intent, as opposed to letter.
For the amendment,
To be
all in favor say
consistent.
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, no opposition. Now we're back to the main motion, which is discussion on this agenda item. I guess I do share some concern. That's why I'm asking about I'm just looking at the conventional quote for the conventional roof that is roughly $770,000 versus the $1.9 million plus. That's just a crazy swing. Again, I understand people, contractors every day triple and quadruple bid things, it's I don't want to deal with your fee, and if you want to pay me, then I'm going to make a handsome profit. I understand it happens every day in the building industry, so, people are busy, so. I mean, so you're saying, like, if the commission went forward with a conventional roof option, to go ahead and do that now? Since, we need to do something about the roof.
We still have to finish the specifications with his architect, and that architect would still require a fee.
Even on the low bid?
Even on that one, yes. Yeah, they're separate.
Yeah, this is just for the solar panel.
No, this is
No.
just for a roof.
In the packet,
But,
I'm speaking to,
no, but I'm talking about the actual, the motion that's on the table is just for
well,
the
the motion
letter
on
of
the table
intent.
is discussion.
Discussion.
We're on discussion. There's been no motions made.
Okay,
We're on
got
discussion.
it.
That's the
Sorry.
main motion.
Fair enough.
So, that's why I'm getting back to trying to understand. I mean, that free roof that is benefiting taxpayers is, but again, it sounds, something that sounds too good to be true.
And I've got no dog in this hunt, except to save the
Exactly, but I'm just,
taxpayers money.
understandable, but it's obviously people, it's questionable technology, solar panels, federal government, there are concerns there, investors, something leasing, like, have there been any other counties that are doing something like this, or where, on any county roads?
Yes. Williamson or Wilson County Schools? right?
Williamson, I believe.
Williamson County Schools do that. And the amount of energy that they use is so far less than our jail. They jumped all over that. When they saw our jail, they wanted it because this long-term investment is there for them.
So Williamson County has already done something like this with these people, so Commissioner Show.
Yeah, I'd like to make well, I'm trying to think of the best way to do it, because I've got two motions I'd like to make, but I'll make one and then we'll get past
Do you
it.
want to say something before he made it?
Oh, go.
Let's let the law director say something.
Sure.
Mr. Long and I have researched this as well because this was brought up, which has brought up some other issues about leases versus purchase versus interest on the note, and if this falls into a grant category. So I need you all to understand, even if we get past this, this is not going to be a 1 month we sign, the next month we're building, okay? Having said that, Williamson County has used this on a school. The project and scope of that school was not, I don't know how to phrase this without getting somebody in trouble, but it never hit the radar of the state. Because the state kept telling us nobody's doing this. And then this kept coming back as, well, these schools are using it, this is what they're saving on this. So our project is so large, we've got to go to the state and just throw it all out there, say, here's what we're gonna do. But that's how it was left with us, and we have not gotten any further than that because it turned into a he said, she said about what the contract could say, and we finally decided we get this intent letter out, we actually look at something in black and white, and then we start making a game plan.
That's the whole thing.
So with that in mind, the intent of what I'm going to propose here is to move forward with any proposals and discovery relevant to just fixing the roof, independent of the solar panel, and also to approve the letter of intent. But because these things probably need to be separated out, I would just like to do the first one first, which is to just make a motion to move forward with discovery relevant to fixing the roof,
Second.
independent,
Second.
With
Okay.
conventional.
with conventional and independent of solar panels.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Schoaf, seconded by Commissioner Brown. Discussion on that, I guess questions with, I mean, I'm looking at saving the taxpayers $1.1 million with what's in this packet for a conventional roof. Now, is this for, we're making this motion, is this just to fix and patch leaks, or is this to replace the entire roof conventional?
The full packet.
Okay.
And it's not a replacement of the
Well-
entire roof. It's the lower roof, about 88,000 square feet, would have that wetsuit system on it. The upper tower needs to be totally replaced, insulation and all.
Okay,
And
so
so
but it's, when I say the entire roof of the jail, the tower, is all gonna be addressed.
right.
Right. The project,
That's what I'm
the
trying
scope
to
of the
clarify.
project
And part of
addresses
that-
the whole roof.
And just understand that there's no turning back on the argument, on the architect. Once John gives them the go-ahead, then we're stuck with that 6%. That was what we were trying, but I'm cool with that.
But that's-
We need to get the roof fixed.
I know, but that is according to state law, I mean, that,
That's a standard.
I mean, and I understand the protections there, and I also understand how it's been abused as well, so I think that's the point of contention of that process, but I mean, the point is, there's a big difference. I mean, I'm comfortable with moving forward with the conventional, because I mean, I think we all agree that we need to get this done.
Yeah,
I don't
we
want to
do.
delay that.
Yeah,
we do.
And so the motion is to moving forward with a conventional estimate
Correct.
here in the packet for the lower, with the wetsuit, and the upper, total replace everything.
Correct.
And that's around 770, roughly,
Yeah.
right now.
Depending on who you talk to, yes.
So do we need to, question is, do we need to send us the budget next?
It should already be on.
Yeah, we've got it appropriated.
Yeah, no,
Up to,
Okay, that's right, we do.
it's already appropriated.
It's 1.45.
Yeah, we
All right,
have.
so now- Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
So, well, let me explain something. There's two different projects here. You have one that's recommended by the architect, the one that that scoped out this project said what we need to do, we need to remove layers and do it under this standard. Then you have Roof Connect, who has a different method, the way that they want to do it. Now, from what my discussions with the architect that we have on board, is that this may not be up to the standards that we would want it to be. It's built more for what they want to do with the solar. So we need to make that decision. Are you gonna scope it this way? Because whatever the architect, he just does an estimate. It still has to go out to bid. It'd be a sealed bid, and that, whoever wins that bid, wins that bid. But we do have to scope it out. And if we hire this architect, we need to scope it out to their specs, because that's what we hired them for.
So what is the options on, look at a different architect, or is there a different is there a process of 2-3 architects we look
Well,
at?
I mean,
Like a second
it's-
opinion, third opinion, I mean,
Well, it's different. It's difficult to say, okay, we're gonna hire this architect, we want you to give us this opinion. You don't wanna hire an architect to give you your opinion. So you want one that goes out and does a full inspection of the roof, runs a test, and then they come up with what they feel is the best options to go forward, and then we pick from those options.
Okay,
Could they give us 2 options?
So the architect is just looking at fixing the roof, period. He's not looking at the add-on of the solar panels, which, you're gonna start poking holes into your roof after you.
Yeah, we
put
haven't
it on
discussed that with the architect, because we haven't gotten that far with
I
that
mean, you're
discussion.
making 6%, I mean, in my opinion, I hate to be a little jaded here, you're gonna go with the most expensive option. I mean, let's just be real here. I mean, I feel that, so I have a little bit of trust issue on that, as far as like self-interest.
But the mayor is correct. The specification will be the specification. It'll go out to bid. And if it's a competitive bid and we get 3 or 4 or 5 bidders, we should get the best price based on that specification. All things being equal, they should all be bidding apples for apples.
This may be I'm kind of tossing this around, this may be kind of a dumb idea, but could we put both options out to bid?
Yeah.
And then we'd have a menu
I mean,
of stuff
we-
to choose from.
Yeah, we
That's
can.
what I was gonna agree with.
Yeah, that's a bit cumbersome, but I'm sure we'll put it together.
I mean, all right.
That would be a Mr. Long question, I don't know, putting
Yeah,
separate bids out, we might have to get his
Yeah.
weigh in on that.
Yeah, I do wanna qualify my statement that I run all of that.
I don't
through
know.
legal
I
and
genuinely
Yeah,
don't
finance.
I don't either. And he's the one that's gonna be cutting the check, so.
Commissioner Teacher?
Yeah, I don't know, I feel like that might be wasteful if I love the idea of options, but if we're having an architect draw up options for bids to come in for one option that is gonna be dead in the water, one of the two, we won't go with both probably, so that seems like it might be odd. But I do have a few questions about this, based on Mr. Hyde or Mr. Klein. Would you maybe, I know that I'm not the only one that is curious about the Brazilian and the Chinese statements, and I just want to see kind of like what ties, because I think that's super important to the folks sitting out here that employ us. So.
Well, when we were talking about this the other evening, Commissioner Miller and I were sitting here at the table Googling, and actually she found it before I did. I think it was the corporation, the investors, was it not, Chrissy, that were the ones who are investing in this, were located in Brazil.
Can she speak to that?
Is there anything else to add to that?
I didn't know if there was anything. Yeah, okay, so
I mean,
that's.
nothing really to discuss.
I mean, that is one of your BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South America. Those are the BRICS, and they're trying to depose the United States.
Point of order, and I'm not trying to,
State your point.
the point is, we're on the conventional roof at this point, not the solar
Point
part.
rating. Gonna keep it
So I
in
just
order.
want to try to keep us,
Just take questions out of bounds at this point. We need to, if it's not talking about the conventional.
True, but aren't we still,
No, we're not,
still-
not right now, we're not. We're talking about the conventional roof.
just the conventional roof.
The
That is,
original motion though. is-
We're not on the original motion, we're on his first
That's right.
motion right now. Says, we're only talking conventional roof.
But we were talking about bidding out the solar panels.
No, we
To
weren't.
architects.
No, we were not. We were talking about the conventional roof.
I think we're talking about specking.
Yes, conventional
I'm
roof.
just saying.
Yeah. Now, the only thing that we could, feels very cumbersome at this point is talk to the architect if he even knows what would be required of a solar structure, and I don't think he could.
I'm gonna rein this back in as out of order.
Well, no, but this is for the specifications.
Commissioner Rogers and McHugh said.
Would we not, I mean, if we're gonna fix it, we're gonna have to chew on a hefty note after all. Would we not wanna go ahead and have all the mold junk removed and all the, stuff that's been wet? Now we're down in the HVAC units is getting wet. Get all the mold contributing factors out of there when we write the scope. Is that what's gonna be considered on the conventional idea that we already have with this company? Or,
I know nothing about the ductwork that they're talking about. It's news.
Is this just the first time?
Yeah,
happened
this
over
just
the
came in
weekend.
today.
Okay, this is the first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So that's-
This is a new, you're asking about something we just found out, I guess, so.
well, yeah, but I'm just trying to say, if we're trying to get an idea of the scope and who's gonna reimburse, I mean, seems like we're down in the weeds and wishing for a lot when we don't really know a lot. We've,
Well, right now,
30 minutes.
Right now, we're not talking about solar panels. We're talking about conventional roof. Commissioner Schoaf has a motion on the floor.
and the tear.
yeah, and there are two, just getting back in queue here, there are two options. The way I'm looking at this, and I just want to make sure I'm not losing anything, we've got two options. We got the partial replacement and the buttressing with the wetsuit versus total replacement.
No, it's one system.
It's all one.
Yeah, it's just partial roof replacement. Okay, so we're not halfway fixing another part, because it was done in sections.
Right.
So
Okay.
this is only fixing sections.
So what was the point, and I guess I missed your point earlier about the two different,
There's two different ways of fixing the roof.
Yeah.
That's why you have a difference in price, because you're using two different products.
okay.
So that's
Well, I
where,
mean, but
that's
that can
where
all
your
come out.
difference
That can all come out during the bidding
And that
process.
can all come
That all
out
comes out
with-
through the bidding
with the
process.
architect.
Okay, I got it.
So we got a motion on the floor to move forward with the bidding process for the
Yes.
different options. And we have a second. Is there any more discussion on this?
Mr. Chairman.
Is it
Just-
relative to the?
It is relative, but I have to just make a point. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but the reason that we've been talking about the specs for the solar panels is just simply because Commissioner Schoaf brought up having a smorgasbord of options. And so that's the reason why we're still talking about it. So I don't think it's out of order to talk more about the solar panels, if
No.
that's the option.
You're out of order because he was talking about the options for conventional only, not for solar panels.
Well, that's not what I heard.
Then that was his motion. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's right.
I mean,
I,
so-
I understand the argument there, but I mean, that's, we were where we are.
I digress.
So, yeah, we are. So, any other questions on Commissioner Schoaf's motion to move forward with the conventional bidding process for to fix and replace this roof? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Second.
I'd like to get back in here. And now we can talk about solar panels and China and the bricks. Because what I'm gonna do here is make a motion to approve with the amended version of this statement of intent.
I'll second it.
So a motion made by Commissioner Schoaf to move forward with the letter of intent with amendments, or statement of intent with a second by Commissioner Klein. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Teacher.
So, are there any American investment companies that we can go with instead of, is there another option for that?
I'm sure there is authority. We don't own the roof. This company, whoever the company is, whoever the investors are, they own that roof on top of that
See,
jet.
that bothers me really, really.
And of all places to own a roof. Here, let them all out.
They can't take it away.
Don't
It's
take-
it's
they-
hard.
they chip away some concrete.
Commissioner Teacher still has the floor, so let's keep going, please.
Sorry.
It does bother me though, it just, because I mean, a lease, I know that we eventually will own that roof, but eventually is a problem for the taxpayer. I mean, I love the not spending the taxpayers' money, but if we're digging a bigger hole for them, it scares me to death.
Explain the bigger hole.
The bigger hole, well, I'm not supposed to address the crowd.
No, you're not, so. That was our order.
So my worries, my concern is if we are putting forth an obligation for the taxpayers and the taxpayers' children and grandchildren that we are unaware of. I know that we're doing this letter of intent, but it worries me because we cannot be speaking and spending. We're saying, well, we're saving you money, look what we're doing, but then all of a sudden, we've got a Brazilian-owned Chinese company, and, you know, that
Owner
owns.
jail.
Yeah, that owns the roof of the jail. I mean, it's like, we need to replace the roof, but then if we don't even own it, so there's a lot of issues.
Mr. Chairman, I got pertinent information on this right here. They're not from Brazil. I'm talking to the lady right now. They're from Sweden.
It's a neutral country.
That matters, right?
Well,
We're hung up over that.
Hold on. Commissioner Jones, thank you for gaining that recognition of the floor, please, next time for interrupting. There is a difference between Sweden and China and Brazil, so I mean, we'll recognize that point, but we're digressing. We need to wrap this meeting up.
And I wanted to wrap it up. We're not talking about hiring a company from anywhere right now. We're talking about a letter of intent to find out what we can and won't do.
Correct, so
And at the end of the day, we can decide to not do it.
So what Commissioner Shove has made a motion, that's been seconded by you, is to move forward with a letter of intent in parallel to the conventional roof bidding process. So that, and it's nothing, just to see what options are on the table. Because this, you won't get any of your questions answered until this moves forward, basically what they come forward. So, I'm gonna go with Commissioner Clyde and then Commissioner Shove real quick and Commissioner Rogers, if we can, we'll wrap it up, and that's all I'm taking. So, Commissioner, Hyde.
Oh, I thought he was first, but anyway, I'll just.
I'll yield.
If I had any question about how I was going to vote, after what I've heard here tonight, it's a for sure no now, because we don't know what we're voting on.
Call the question.
Is there a second for call the question?
Second, that was mine.
Question's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right. We're back to the main motion, which is Commissioner Shov's motion to move forward just a letter of intent, exploratory, based on the information given last week and this week. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Commissioner
No.
Hyde and Commissioner Rogers are opposed. All right, so that's, will this is already in budget, the conventional roof. Voter intent's now at the law director's office. This will go to the full commission for approval for the letter of intent.
Yes.
I'm sure in a fun manner debated again. And as far as I'll make a motion to group and approve.
Second.
The last items on the agenda for all of the certificates of recognitions or proclamations, A and B. And I have a motion by Commissioner Shove. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Rogers. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Shove, second by Commissioner Rogers. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
I'm making an amendment to that.
We will begin at 7:05. 7:05 for budget.